we know interest rates are going up, right?
Yeah.
Like Powell basically said it as a fact. We're going up and it's going up aggressively. And I more look to, I can't control that, right? Only Wall Street can control Powell, right? And Wall Street wants interest rates up so they can buy more houses. So I hope nobody catches me on that conspiracy theory, but it is true. I just don't want to disappear.
Welcome back to What's the Good News, the best insider look into the most influential individuals in the real estate market as a whole.
And I'm your host, Michael Smith, and this is my extremely attractive co-host, Mr. Dominic Gardarelli. Together, Dom and I have over 20 years of real estate experience, and we always love to share the good news. Today, we have on the show a personal friend and colleague, Mr. Irfan Raza. He's the founder and president of Raza Homes, which is a real estate investment and development firm focusing on single-family and small multifamily properties in the greater Philadelphia area. He began building a small portfolio with his own funds in 2009 while maintaining a career as a CPA. Finally, in 2015, he transitioned into real estate full-time and has successfully renovated or developed over 150 units while amassing a personal portfolio of over 100 doors. Irfan, what's the good news, man?
Thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate it. Mike, good to see you as always. Dom,
sure, absolutely, man.
To see you.
So, Irfan, you went to Temple, right?
Yeah. I grew up around the greater Philadelphia area. I grew up in Central Bucks. I headed down to Temple, graduated with an accounting degree, actually, of all things. Became a CPA, worked downtown. And then I could already tell that I wasn't loving the career choice. So I really had to find a way to get out quick, right? And I started seeing real estate. Real estate was a way, was the path. And I saw real estate when I was in Temple too, right? So I saw a lot of people building student housing at the time while I was a student there. And I always had it in my mind that I wanted to get into real estate, get involved in real estate.
When was this? What years did you go to Temple?
2004 to 2008. I was so in tune to working in real estate. I got jobs as construction. I was at a Home Depot and I was at Lowe's. So during the summers, I was working at Home Depot's or Lowe's, depending on who would hire me. So
I mean, I remember at that time, man, Temple was just getting crazy in terms of construction and gentrification. I remember just wandering drunk down the streets there, man, just like wondering, why are all these investors spending all this money in the hood, the friggin' hood, man? Because you got people just high on dope, just zombie walking just down the street.
Well, it wasn't as bad as current day K&A is, but it was pretty rough. It was a rough neighborhood, right? So, but there was spreads there, right? People were paying at that time. I might have my numbers wrong, so please don't check my numbers, but like say $600 to $700 a month if you're living on campus through the student housing Temple provides. And then if you're living off campus, is around $500 a month, right? And if you're living really far off campus, it's like $400 a month in a room, right? So people were identifying, I'll build these houses with 4 rooms, get $1,600 a month, and I'll crush it, right? Yeah. And unfortunately, at that time, I didn't know real estate. I didn't have capital, right? I didn't have the foundation to grow anything. I just saw it happening, right? And that's where it just got my thoughts going. It really got my thoughts going. And it just continued with me too, right? And everybody says like, follow your passions, right? Like it's so like cliche, like follow your passion. You don't know what your passions are, right?
Passion is making money.
Yeah. I just saw where I wanted to pick a class in high school for elective. I wanted to do wood shop, right? I saw when I turned 18, well, where do I want to work? Home Depot starts hiring at 18. I want to work at Home Depot, right? Pick up a job here, pick up a job there, like randomly. I want to do construction, right? Like I just kept getting into that route, right? Where like the building thing just fascinated me. I had to get involved.
Yeah.
And then you know what I did? I went and I sat behind a desk for 12 hours a day. Right. So how brutal was that for me? Right. Like that was, I kind of started seeing what I liked, and natural causes put me in the places where I liked, but I was told, or I thought that the money was there, and the money wasn't anywhere else. Money was not in construction. And, and I started talking to a lot of people. And then I made the decision to really I made the decision to really get into real estate. Right. So at first, my thought process was kind of a house hack, right? Buy a duplex in the close suburbs to Philadelphia, put a certain amount of money down, probably less than $50,000. I was going to do that by saving $50,000 my first year, right? My salary was $50,000. I would save all expense reimbursements. I would live minimally. I'd get a little bit more money from mileage reimbursement, right? I had a 4-cylinder car and I was getting 52 cents a mile, right? Like I was crushing all mile reimbursement. I got bonuses for passing my CPA. I got a sign-on bonus, and no joke, it took me like one straight year, and I saved up 50,000. So I was ready to buy that first duplex. It just happened that it didn't happen like that, and I went in a different path. But can you talk a little bit about that with your first deal? And was that something that was that in Temple? And then how did you finance it? So I never really got into student housing for whatever reason, right? The first deal that I did, I met these investors that were kind of creating like a turnkey business, but they did it very unsuccessfully, right? So I bought the first turnkey house with traditional financing, and they were going to burr the second house for me, manage the construction, right? They did a very poor job of managing the first unit and an even worse job of managing construction of the second unit. But that's where I was first introduced to the idea of burr. I lost a lot of money on both those deals, and I still have both those deals till today. But I realized the power of the burr method, and for that I'm like forever grateful, right? Like some of the best things happen from the hardest events in your life, right? So that was a tough event, right? Like losing so much money. I didn't have much money to begin with, and just losing so much money on those first deals.
How did that feel? How did that feel for you, Irfan? Right, you got your job as an accountant, man. You just blew a whole bunch of your savings on these deals. All your savings, right? I mean, and as an entrepreneur, man, I've gone broke a few times, right? It happens, right? It's just the nature of the business. So like, how did you handle that, man? And like, you have 100+ units now, right? So there's a testament to just rolling your sleeves up, man, and just picking yourself up off your ass.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes you have to have pain to enjoy, right? So there was a lot of pain. There's a lot of sleepless nights. There's just like, there's anxiety. There's everything bad that's happening to you. And it's not easy. And it's especially not easy going to work and trying to concentrate. And the 12-hour days are no joke. I was working 12-hour days. To concentrate even 10 out of those 12-hour days is like impossible when your mind is right. When your mind is not right, you got to really work hard at it. And honestly, now I'm in a much better position on not only like financially and I have my foundation set now, but I'm in a much better position with knowing myself, right? And this gets into like that self-help stuff, but you really got to know what to do when the stress happens, right? The first thing you naturally do is you naturally put all your energy into it. I think that's the wrong move. I think you got to step back. You got to you gotta keep what's important to you, your family life, right? Keep exercising, keep eating healthy. Like, how many times do we have stressful situation? We finish a bag of chips or eat a lot more ice cream than we really should.
Yeah.
Like, we should be doing the exact opposite, right? We should say, you know what? This is a time for me. I watch a lot of David Goggins. Get hard, right? Stay hard. Yeah. We got to get hard at those times, right? We got to buckle down and then figure out the solutions and execute on the solution. I do a lot better job on that right now than I've ever done. But I will say that even till today, I have bad deals, right? You buy 10 deals, one of them's bad, right? Last year, I bought 2 bad deals. I tried to sell both. One of them was like a simple 10 grand loss. The other one, had I sold it, I would have lost like $40,000 to $60,000. I ended up retaining that property, right? So those are huge losses, right? When you think you're going to make profit on those, right? So did it keep me up at night? Yes. Was I embarrassed? Yeah, I was embarrassed, right? I'm a seasoned investor, right? Yep. I would tell people like, yo, I bought this property. And on top of that, like in our wholesale company, we sell 50 deals thereabouts a year, right? We post a lot of the deals to Facebook, and nobody will give me a like. Nobody will give me a comment. Just my true friends will do it every once in a while. I posted the one deal I was sure to make 100,000 on, right? There's no doubt I'm making 100,000. I'm taking this in. I'm going to clean it out, make 100 grand on this. No problem. I cleaned it out. I put it up on Facebook, and it was a little bit worse than I thought it was going to be, like the condition of the property. And people are laughing at me and commented like, this guy is crazy. This guy is crazy. Right? Like, yo, I just sold 50 deals. Give me some respect, right? Like in the last 12 months, I sold 50 deals. Yeah. My team, let's not say my team has sold 50 deals. Give me some respect here, man. Like, and that's, it's not easy. Even till today, it's not easy, right? Like,
your percentages are actually pretty high. I mean, most people that I speak to, and even our business ourselves, usually 25%, I would say, either don't close, die on the vine, or, the numbers, end up not being in a positive way, because I think
the wholesale aspect. The wholesale aspect, I would agree. But like on my intake aspect, I'm a little bit more conservative, like truly settling on the deal. And we only truly settle when I'm like, oh, I know I'm making money. There's no doubt I'm making money here, right? So but when we flip contracts, I would say that's probably fairly accurate, the 25% mark. I haven't heard that before, but thinking
about what it shakes out to. But, also, Irfan, like, just kind of the things that you said, man, when shit gets stressful and things get tough, bro, keeping that positive mindset, dude, that is like a consistent trend and theme among all people that are successful in their business, is they're able to just dial in and kind of eliminate the noise in the background to really just focus on finding a solution rather than just, exaggerating and making the problem bigger than it is. Because when you let those negative emotions kind of just fester and that's all that you're focusing on, man, well, how can you even expect to have a positive outcome in that situation? Yeah. Right? It's like common sense, but emotions get the best of a lot of people in a lot of situations, man. And let's be honest, like there's going to be a million people out there in the real estate industry that are preaching to the masses how great real estate is, but they're never going to talk about the deals that put them on their ass. Yeah. And how they overcame that. And I think it's great that, you can kind of talk about that, man, and just kind of share your experiences. I think it's so important for people that are trying to get into the industry.
Yeah. And I think keeping a positive mindset is almost, it's too big of a word. Eliminating the negative is probably the better way to say it, right? Like I think you gotta reach out to the right people. Right. So find the right people to talk to, willing to help, willing to mentor you, that you can call up and say, look, I got into this deal. It's pretty shitty. What are my solutions here? Right. And I didn't really have that when I first started. And by the forces of the world, there have been several people that have reached out to me in the position I was when I first started and asked me, like, what should I do? Right. I I mean, actually, somebody just called me today that I'll touch about, but like a wholesaler that I've worked with, helped him sell a few deals, bought a few deals from him myself. He got caught up in a very tough construction project, right? And it was more probably because of L&I. And I don't want to talk too bad about L&I, but like you get the wrong inspector, it becomes a lot more trouble than it really is. I don't want to go on a different tangent, but let's just keep to this story. Oh man, I could talk for the whole podcast about.
I think we all can. I think we all can. That's the good news, right? Is that they're not biased towards one person. They treat everybody the same. That you know?
Yeah, that's the truth. So he calls me up and he's like, I need to do this, that. And I went through the possible solutions, right? And honestly, I had to find out a lot about him, like how much money is at bank, what's going on here, what's going on there, what's your future goals. And I was able to create a solution where he had a debt on this property. I can't remember what it was. And the debt was very close to the sales price. And the solution there was to sell it and come out of pocket up to $10,000 or try to sell it so it doesn't come out of pocket. And I think this was probably one of my lowest commissions. Like it was probably 3-4 years ago. I legitimately sold this property. I got him in a situation where he didn't have to come out of pocket. We sold it to a reputable buyer. I took $1,000 for the sale and I helped him out. Right. I really should have took more money. And I try not to be that generous with commissions, but I saw exactly what he was going through. And it's what I've been through multiple times. Right. Yeah. And it was his first time going through that. So it ended up being not a bad situation, a learning experience for him. It didn't wipe him out. It didn't bankrupt him. It didn't ruin his family life. Right. Like it was pretty good at the end of the day. And then I guess I'll talk about the call that I had today. So one of my friends growing up, he wanted to move out of his parents' house, right? He's probably like 26 to 28 years old at the time he wanted to move out. I don't like conflicting too much with friends and business. And I actually referred him to an agent in Manayunk, right? Before that, I spent probably like 5 trips with him exploring the different areas of Philadelphia and where he wanted to live, right? And then we went to Manayunk. I referred him to my friend in Manayunk, bought a house, right? It's a 4-bedroom, decent condition house. He bought it for $280,000, right? I thought it was an average price at the time, but he house tacked it, right? Rented out 3 bedrooms. His out-of-pocket expense was like $300-400 a month, plus the split of the utilities. Great financial decision, right? Now he lives in New Jersey as well, like I do. And he sees that house as a hassle because of the location. He still has his stuff in 1 bedroom. And then one of the guys doesn't pay on time, right? And he calls me, he texts me, he's like, I want to sell the house, right? Meaning, can you list my house? And I said, give me a couple hours. I'm going to call you. Don't do anything stupid in the meantime, right? I call him up. I went through all the goods about his house, right? He's got less than a $250,000 mortgage on the house. The house is probably worth close to $400,000 now. He's got crazy equity in the house. Let's say it's a $250,000 mortgage, 3.5% interest rate. Dude, that sounds so foreign to me when I say 3.5% interest rate, right?
Yeah.
I don't even hear those words anymore. I asked one homeowner what she was getting for her interest rate. And I was like, well, is it 7? She said, no, we got really lucky. It's 6 something. 6 something is really lucky. We locked in at the right time. It was 6 something. How crazy is that? So he's got 3.5% interest rate. What else does he have? He has equity in the property.
Yeah, he's got equity in the property. He could long-term it. I mean, he could probably just get the people out and long-term it.
Yeah. Yeah. Get the people out, move out your shit, and then rent it out for maybe $2,400 a month. Your mortgage payment's what, $1,800 a month? I mean, that spread is there, right? So here I am, an agent, right? And you guys know, I don't have to lie to you. The market's not hot right now, right? Yep. So I mean, I would love a couple grand in my pocket, but I'm telling him that it's completely the wrong move to sell. I'm telling him you got to, again, like we were saying before, think about the positives, right? Eliminate the negatives and focus on the solutions here, right? It's too much 100%. Of a hassle. He's also having a baby too. So having a baby gives you a little bit of stress. Eliminate the hassle, right? Well, what's the solution to that? How do you eliminate this hassle here? Do you, property manager, leasing agent, right? A better handyman. Like there's so many different factors you can have instead of the most simple solution is just sell, right? You could just hold it but
that's also the good news about real estate though. It's like there's so many different exit strategies. Anytime a problem presents itself, it's not just liquidating the asset, it's borrowing against it, it's cash flowing it, it's figuring out a way to make that thing make money. And that's the good news about real estate. I mean, I'm sure you know at this point in your career, Irfan, like real estate is just a gift that keeps on giving. And the more that you get, the easier it gets, man, because the more systems and scale that you have in place, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Of course. It gets easier and easier, but in different ways. So it gets harder in other ways, right? So I don't have too many examples of that, but I think people always say passive, right? Yeah. And I would just say that the term passive, you have to look at that in a couple of different lenses, right? On your tax return, it could be passive, but on the amount of effort you got to take, the amount of solutions that you got to provide, the thought process you got, the amount of stress that you got to go through, there's not really too much passive about it, right? It's constant. It's constant making decisions. It's constant creating solutions. It's constant putting out fires, right? There's things that happen like that's figuratively and literally putting out fires. In 2020,
all day.
Yeah. In 2020, we had 3 fires in 2020. I mean, we didn't put them out, like literally put them out. Fire department put them out, but we had a fire insurance claim. We had to get the construction done to get the tenants. We had 1 put in temporary housing, right? We had 2 put in temporary housing. We had 1 that just moved out because it was a huge rehab on that one. But like you gotta conduct the rehabs fairly quickly to make that stuff happen. So yeah, I was going somewhere with putting fires out, but yeah, it's not truly as passive as it might seem, right? You got to put in the work, right? And you have to put in even more work early on in the game.
Yeah. I don't know who came up with the whole idea of influencing all of these kids that are just, 18 to 24. Yeah, invest in real estate. It's the easiest passive income you're going to be able to make. And it's like, dude, do you not realize that like, even if you're making money every month off of rental properties, it's still freaking work, man. Like you're going to have to work. There's no easy way to get rich in the world. There's no easy way to make money other than just doing the work yourself. It's just so crazy to me. I don't know who came up with that marketing scheme, but it's exactly what it is, right? It's like there's no such thing as that. So you had mentioned briefly about the rates and how like 7% is the norm today. So, this past week, Mr. Jerome Powell came out and was basically like, whoopsies, we made a mistake in loosening our policy. Rates are going back up. What are your thoughts on that, Irfan? I mean, because you refinance pretty much all your properties, right? So like, what, in your opinion, where do you think like the long-term outlook in terms of mortgage rates are going and kind of, what the next, let's call it 6 to 12 months looks like in terms of the market sentiment?
Yeah. So this goes back to what we're saying, like being positive, eliminating negatives. We know interest rates are going up, right?
Yeah.
Like Powell basically said it as a fact. We're going up and it's going up aggressively. And And I more look to, I can't control that, right? Only Wall Street can control Powell, right? And Wall Street wants interest rates up so they can buy more houses. So I hope nobody catches me on that conspiracy theory, but it is true. I just don't want to disappear. But I can't control it, right? I do believe it's going up. But I think things happen drastically in this industry, and they're making very quick decisions, and they're hitting it hard when they make those quick decisions. So I don't think anything's changing in the next 6 months, but I do think that there's always a possibility that they can say we overcorrected, we got to bring them back down, right? Yeah. I'm not sure when that's going to happen, but I just know that things change drastically. But what I will say to that is, and look, I was stressing about it last year. I saw this happening, and my advice would be, it's not controllable, right? You can't do anything to control that. So it's a waste of energy to stress out about it, right? So what can you do, right? So what am I doing as a result of the interest rate hike? Well, what did I do? Right. Started seeing it probably around March. I was going through a refinance. And at that time I couldn't close with the lender because they jacked up the rates out of nowhere. I had to find another lender. Right. That type of stuff causes a lot of stress. Right. I closed on that loan. I still have other properties. At a certain point, I had 11 units in inventory that were going to take a substantial amount of time to get through the construction process. So what did I do? What was the solution that I created? Oh, hire a project manager, right? Sounds ridiculous when I say it today, because now we know what happened after March. It sounds ridiculous, but my thought process, they'll raise the rates a little bit. No big deal, right? We'll figure it out. Let me hire a project manager, get through my inventory. Now I have a project manager. I'm not really getting through inventory any faster, and I'm seeing rates increasing. And what I realized is that I couldn't carry the mortgages after I refinance these new properties. I would eliminate all my working capital, and I would put my business in a more threatening position, right? So I sold all 11 of those units of the inventory. Focus on finishing the units that I had. I still have 9 units to finish. And as I finished the units that I had in inventory, I refinanced them. I had some coming out of 5-year fixed. I refinanced those, put them in 30-year fixed. I pulled more cash out on some of those. I mean, the interest rates are really high, but I knew that to do construction lending, I'm borrowing at double digits, right? So if I can take higher amounts in a perm lending, I'll take that, get through all my construction, see where we land, right? So my move was selling inventory. My move was hustling hard, wholesale. My move was hustling hard with things that I naturally would have bought as a rental. I cleaned those out and resold them on the MLS or on my wholesale list, right? So I just made different moves, right? I changed with the environment, right? Was it stressful? Yes, it was still stressful, right? Like, was I having negative thoughts? Yes, I was trying to reduce those negative thoughts and provide solutions. So,
what are you doing now in your underwriting process when you look at new deals, just to account for what we already know to be true, which is the rates are going up? How are you like changing your strategy on new deals that you're acquiring now?
So I will tell you that I haven't really bought a rental unit to hold in 9 months. But that's because of the underwriting that I'm doing. I'm seeing, and Philly, look, for me, it takes like a year to do a construction project. You get caught up in L&I, it's taking 15 months, right? Like, that's kind of where I'm at. I got caught up with L&I for a couple of them. I'm in long-term construction projects most of the time. So my underwriting has changed drastically, right? So what are we? We're in March. We're a year back. I probably bought these units all before March of last year. And I was underwriting like a 3.75 to 4.25% 30-year fixed, right? Like that has drastically changed. So
Yeah.
I'm looking at this now and I'm saying, well, I'm not getting 3.75% anymore. I'm probably going to get 7.75, something along those lines, and pay points. Probably even pay points to buy down to 7.5, right? That's a whole different game here. So what am I going to do as these guys get into refinance? I was originally going to leave $10,000 in a deal, right? I mean, that's a lot of money, but by 10 grand on the whole scheme of things, not that big of a deal, right?
Yep.
Now we're talking about 30, 40, maybe even $50,000 a unit, right? I don't know the true metrics right now because I refuse to underwrite it to detail.
You also have to consider the taxes, the increase in taxes, Philadelphia, because who knows? It's like throwing a dart at a dartboard.
Yeah. So what's going to happen? I'm coming out 9 units. I'm going to be 50,000 a unit, 450,000 of working capital completely eliminated from my business, right? After refinance.
Yep.
So I started realizing that pretty early on, hence the reason I sold 11 units last year. And I'm realizing this for this year. I just been really focused on wholetailing, flipping, right? Getting inventory, getting that inventory to market in a way that creates the most value to the public and just figuring that realm out. And last year I did pretty good. We're starting the year off really, really slow right now. So hopefully without pickup and I gotta really hit it hard so I can close that gap, that 450,000 in working capital gap, right? Like that's a huge gap to close.
Let's take a step back really quickly. I mean, you and I got in real estate about the same time. And that's actually kind of how we met, but
I still remember the first day we met, to tell you the truth. And that rooftop that I remember it clearly. You had these business cards that were pretty clever, like almost like a gum stick.
Yes, I remember those.
I was just so impressed by that. And I mean, we kept in touch ever since that day. So
yeah. And then, one of the things I remember is that I always thought it because it was you and Ethan. And I said that these guys are going to be really good. And I think at that time you maybe had like maybe 1 or 2 properties, maybe 3.
No, I probably had more than that.
Did you?
You know what? I might have had 7 because I had more. And then for the partnership that I was in, I probably had 7 properties at that time. So
I guess my question is, being as though you're like, 100 some odd doors now, and most of them are single family or small multifamily. I mean, what was the trajectory? I mean, were you looking to buy, 10 a year? Was it 5 a year? I mean, what was the goal? And then, upon scaling, at what point do you think that you either had to hire property management or a project manager?
Oh, that's a great question, right? So I said earlier that I was in downtown working, right? So even though I wasn't 100% on board, that was the money that I knew how to make. So I focused on getting better in that. And I knew that it couldn't be a lifestyle for me. So my thing was, let me get 10 units. Pay them off completely, right? And then I'll have a retirement plan in 30 years, right? So it initially started out 1 unit at a time, right? 1 unit, 1 year after the next year, another unit, year 3, 2 units, and then year 4, 4 units. It was that type of progression, right? They always talk about the hockey stick or exponential growth. It was 100% exponential growth. 1 unit, 1 year, 2 units, 2 years, just like that. And from the very beginning, I had a property manager. I had a demanding job, right? I said 12 hours a day. That is no joke. I was working 12 hours a day, right? So I had a demanding job. I couldn't deal with the extra calls, the stress, etc. I was trying to keep my job. It was also 2009 at that time, right? some of the worst financial crisis just happened. They were having layoffs. I didn't want to be laid off. I couldn't be answering the phone like that. Kept my job was the number one priority. So buying units like that, and then it was just constant buying. I was very good at being detail oriented. I was a CPA. I knew how to use Excel sheets. And I would pay bills like pretty religiously on my free time. I was just putting in more work, right? I was just putting in a lot more work. I moved jobs, really wanted to build my career there. And let's say I was 15 or so units at that time. I climbed up to 30 at that job. And it started being that it took a lot of time, right? So first thing I did, I had all the mail going to my parents' address, right? I asked my mom to scan the mail, scan all the mail, make payments, right? Probably around 15 units or so, 15 to 20 units. Make payments. We signed a joint checking account, which we still have today. She would sign the checks. Everything was pretty much manual, and she would record it for me, and I would have an idea. So if a water bill went to $300, I could challenge it. Everything was saved. Everything was nice, right? I needed that because, the city of Philadelphia, you could be charged. I mean, I got to charge $11,000 water bill. I had all the support to fight it. I just lost, right? But the thing is, you got to have the support, right? So everything, all that detail oriented stuff is 100% necessary. And then I realized that my mom didn't love doing it. Number one, she had to focus on work herself. She was working full time. I hired a VA, and that was before like Filipino VAs were like so popular like they are now. I hired a lady that I still talk to today, had her master's degree from the Northeast, very smart, very educated. She just happened to move to the Midwest, where the pay in the Midwest was substantially lower, right? And we weren't into remote work like we are now, right? It was pretty much work where you live. So found her, I was paying her like $14, $15 an hour at the time. She helped me out with the accounting, the back office, calling the city for this, city for that. Probably helped me get to a little bit more than 30 units. Then the Filipino thing came happen, right? So at 30 units, I joined a mastermind. Went full time. At 30 units, went full time, joined a mastermind. Hired a Filipino VA, and then that kind of changed the game. The VA was full time now, right? She took care of pretty much everything back office, right? Was very bright, and those type of VAs are hard to come by, right? Everybody says VA like it's a magical thing. We had to interview 100 people. We hire 10, we fire 9, we get a good one. Right. That's the way the VA business works right now. But yeah, she was very good. And the mastermind helped me open my mind. Right. I was stuck, right? Like 30 units. I mean, 30 units, 30 grand in equity. You do the math, $900,000, almost a millionaire. It's like 30-year-old millionaire, right? Like, I think I'm hot shit. I go to this mastermind. Granted, I was the youngest person there at 30 years old. I go to this mastermind. I mean, I had people during that time say things like, "Oh, how do you survive on your income?" Right? Like they couldn't even fathom that with 30 units, I could even survive on my income with 30 units. Right? Like
even in regards to that though, Irfan, right? So like you have 30 units, you're still working your CPA job.
I just quit. Yeah, I just
quit. So, I want to touch on that briefly because it's like that paradigm shift. Like, how did you continue to go to work every day when you have 15, 20, 25 rental units? How did you like stay in that mindset? And then secondarily, like, when did you really know that you were going to take the leap full time into doing real estate? Because I think that is like a really hard dynamic for a lot of people to swallow and to time appropriately.
I guess I didn't realize the opportunities, right? Like I had my CPA license. I had a great job. For me, the only opportunity I saw was climb up the corporate ladder at the job that I had, right? And I liked working there. I liked the people that I had. I liked the clients I had. I mean, one of my clients eventually lent me a lot of money too, right? So for me, I didn't realize there was other opportunities that were happening out there that I could make money in real estate. I already had a profession in accounting. So well, how did I make the shift, right? And I would say that there were several reasons for the shift. But like I said before, your passions kind of automatically come to you. Like making the call to work at Home Depot, right? That when I was 18 years old. So I guess what happened was a negative that happened, right? A stressful situation. My cousin had died of an overdose towards the Thanksgiving time period in 2015, right? And we're talking about working through stress and working through hardship. It was very difficult. That was a different type of loss. It was very difficult for me to work through that loss, right? Sitting at a desk again. I don't think I ever worked less than 12 hours a day until now, right? I was working 12 hours a day again then. And going through that, my performance started lacking, right? For lack of a better term. Like I just was not in the game. I couldn't focus on accounting work. I couldn't focus on other people's work. What I could focus on was real estate, right? I was still building my portfolio. And I guess the passion just kind of aligned, right? I was able to work on real estate, but I wasn't able to work on accounting. So after the busy season, and the busy season accounting, January through April, of course, after the busy season, they'll do some layoffs, they'll do some cutbacks, and I was chosen to be one of the cutbacks. Just like days after my 30th birthday. And I will tell you this, I went into the conference room with a stern face. They told me they're going to let me go. And I was trying to hold back the biggest smile of my life. I didn't know how bad I didn't want to be in accounting until that happened. Right. Yeah. I asked them, like, do you want me to leave now? Do you want me to leave end of this week? Do you want me to leave they said end of today. I said my goodbyes to everybody. And I had the biggest smile on my face that I could not hide. The HR lady still today will say Irfan had the biggest smile on his face the day he got fired. I'd never seen somebody smile that big. Everybody else cries and he was just smiling all day. Right. So
I'm imagining, have you seen the movie The Pursuit of Happiness?
Yeah.
With Will Smith.
I just talked about the movie today.
Right at the end when they're like, hey, we want to see you again tomorrow, and he gets the job, and it's just that surreal moment where he's like walking down the middle of Wall Street, just like, yes. Yeah. I'm imagining that's how you were feeling at that moment.
Yeah, better than that. I mean, Will Smith's a great actor, but my portrayal of that was more real than Will Smith's portrayal of The Pursuit of Happiness. That was
for sure.
That was a great day. And again, the passion just came to me and I had to make it happen. Right. So how do I make it happen? I had a flip I was doing at that time. So I think around June, I got let go in May. And then I went on vacation, I think, to some Bahama Islands or something with my wife. Had a great time, came back, had a flip in June, sold the flip, made 40 grand on the flip. And then I was networking all the time. I met this guy who wanted to buy a Center City condo or a Center City house. My first agent transaction for somebody other than myself was a total $1.9 million. Wow. Right? If that tells you that if that doesn't tell you I shouldn't be in real estate, I don't know what does, right? Like, things align to say, this is your destiny. You got to make it happen. And everything just happened and aligned. And I actually made more money in 6 months in real estate than I did had I been working like the full time and as an accountant, right? And just opened my eyes up. So
yeah, you just got to let go. Sometimes you just got to let go and just go for it. Same. I had a similar situation, man. It's crazy.
So that's up to 30 units. At 50 units, I hired a right-hand man, right? To continue on the question of like, how'd you go about growing? 50 units, I hired a right-hand man. Maybe that was even a little bit less, like 40 units. I hired the right-hand man. He came in, he made processes, procedures, linked us in Podio. His ability to come in allowed the ability to get the wholesale thing. The wholesale thing started, and really kicked that wholesale into the next level. Then I met John, who's my right-hand man on wholesaling. And it depends how you say it, right? Like I say right-hand man sometimes I say partners. They have a severe interest in the business with commissions and whatnot, profit split. So, I mean, you could call them partners one day. You could call them, employee is not the right word for these guys, but like the right-hand guys, right? They come in, they help me out. And really without those two guys, I wouldn't be where I'm at today, right? I wouldn't be where I'm at. A more positive note, let's stay positive. I wouldn't be where I was 12/31/2022. These last 3 months or these last 2 months have been pretty difficult. So let's hope that's just a up and down.
I think that's a theme for everybody right now, though, man. It's just it's just the kind of shift in the markets right now. That's what's happening, and kind of leading into that shift. What do you think your business is going to look like over the next, let's call it 2 to 3 years, and like, how are you going to restructure your portfolio to keep doing deals? Do you think you're going to be more on the transactional side with the wholesale and kind of hold off on actually buying some assets for yourself, or how do you kind of see that playing out for you?
Yeah, like I mentioned before, I mean, I'm going to lose a lot of working capital, right? And I believe a lot of people are going to be in the same boat as me. So I am going to drastically flip and wholesale as much as I can in the time we have. I think one thing that we have going for us as flippers is that there's not supply out there, right?
Yeah.
And because there's not supplies, the pricing is relatively staying the same. I don't know how long that's going to last though, right? Because there's another supply factor, and that goes into economics 105 or whatnot. There's a supply of money, and the supply of money is there. Supply of houses is not there, and there's a lot of demand, right? So there's a steady state of high pricing in real estate, which I plan to capitalize, right? 12 months down the line, I don't know what that's going to look like. Will people be in the same position as me, losing their working capital, right? The supply of money is not there. And now the housing pricing is going down, right? I can't answer the question on whether I'll be in the position to buy at that time, right? I hope I will. I hope I can figure out a way to make that happen. But everybody says, oh, I can't wait to the next recession. I'm going to start buying. And they usually have one unit. And they're using that as an excuse, as a scapegoat for not buying more units, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, I would just say this. I think there's an opportunity in every market, every month, every day. There's some type of opportunity, and it's just trying to identify those opportunities and figure out what opportunity suits you, right?
For certain.
I don't have all the answers though, right? So I always hesitate answering that question because what are you going to do? I'm telling you one thing, and then you could see me on Facebook, Instagram. Oh, I just put down 10 units, right? Like, that's not in my thought process right now, but it could. The opportunity could strike, and I have no choice except to take them down, right? So I don't want to be called a liar, so I'm putting that disclaimer out there. That's like the last thing I want to be called, right? So
hey, listen, man, if the numbers make sense, the numbers make sense. I mean, that's really where it is. And while conventional financing might be a little, awry right now. I still think that there's an abundance of private money sitting on the sidelines, just waiting for good opportunities. So, that's kind of what my thoughts are for like the next unforeseeable future is just that the private guys are probably going to continue to wait for good opportunities to show their heads and continue to just place their capital.
Yeah. And I think private money has their own battles too. Like real estate has their own battles, right? Private money, when everybody has low interest rates, is a lot easier to get, right?
Yep.
I could just line of credit my let's say $1 million. I can line of credit my $1 million house, right, at 3%. That's basically not even a cost at 3%. And you need $100,000, sure, right? That's it. To me, that's where I believe most of my private money comes from. And that was the easy source of private money. Now, we have a personal line of credit on our house too. Now our personal line is close to 8%, right? Yeah. Now the decision-making process is a lot different where well, I'm going to give you double digits. Well, my cost is 8%. What type of double digits are you going to give me? Oh, my private money. Well, margins are tighter. I'm going to give you 10. Well, the spread's only 2% at that time for private money guys. All right, well, I'll give you 12. I'll give you 4%. It's a lot of risk. I could put my money in a CD at 4%, right? So there's battles with private money as well. I'm not saying it's not possible. I'm just saying you got to identify the right guys. There's a lot of guys out there as well that just have too much money and not enough opportunity. And if you have those guys, I have a couple of those guys as well. And I had one guy probably a couple of months back. He told me I'm drastically trying to pay down all his debt. I have like probably $300,000 or $400,000 of his debt in my hand today. I'm trying to pay it down. He knows I'm trying to pay it down. And he says to me, I have a lot of money. If you see an opportunity, I'm ready to pounce. Right. And when in 2016, when I went full time, if I heard that statement, I would say, give me all your money. I have deals. I can make money with these deals, and there's unlimited deals. I have limited money. Now it's the opposite way around, right? He said that to me and I was getting nervous. Like, bro, I don't want your money. Like you keep your money. I'm giving you money back. If I find an opportunity, I mean, that's awesome. But I will ask you at that time. But right now, I don't want anything to do with your money, right? Like there's the opportunities are harder to find now. You got to be more creative with your opportunities. You got to be more daring. You got to be a risk shaker. They're still out there. You just got to think differently on. And I'm a little bit more conservative, right? So the opportunities I'm seeing are different than the next guy.
It's also just because you've seen the type of deals that, where you were getting crazy cap rates or crazy returns on these flips. I mean, absolutely. Same thing for me. I mean, we saw it at like one of the highest times and lowest interest rates of all time.
Yeah.
So in comparison, when we look at it today, we're kind of like jaded.
Yeah. And it wasn't that great the last 3 years, right? Acquisition was high, a little bit high, and construction was going higher and higher, right? But people would say, like, why are you buying acquisition so high, construction's high? And I would say, dude, we got 3.5% interest rates right now, 3.75, 4%. I locked a lot of those rates up. Why would you not buy? Why not get an asset? Get that 30-year fixed on that asset. Just buy for that, just a loan alone. Right. And then 2022 spring hit and then things started to change. And I was stuck with probably close to like 20 plus units that I had to make decisions on. Right. So, the market's always changing. But yeah, I was blessed with a very good time. We were both blessed with a very good time when we started buying. And then I saw opportunity when others didn't see opportunities with the low interest rates. And now I see opportunities with others, right? And they'll explain to me the opportunities that I'm not comfortable taking, right? They're more creative in nature. They might involve partners. I don't really like that partner stuff too much. I'm okay with LPs, but I don't like 50-50 equity splits. Yeah, so there's still opportunities out there. That I just want to leave with that, right? You gotta just
Yeah.
identify and make do with what you're comfortable with.
As you start liquidating some of the units in your portfolio, just as a byproduct of what's going on, are you reallocating that capital outside of the real estate markets and diversifying your portfolio in that regards, or are you keeping the money in the actual industry?
So I don't like to liquidate anything that I rent out or refinance. So I will try my hardest to keep those assets and hold those assets for as long as I possibly can. I don't want to be called a liar. I might sell some units if I have to, right? I got that large amount of money that I got to come up with working capital. But there's other things that we do, right? So we lend close to $1 million to just smaller investors that don't have easy access to lending or private money. We become the private money guys. Those guys are pretty much guys that I would pretty much be partners with. Again, I don't really like equity partners. Give them a hard money loan. We kind of share on the deal. If I do come across cash, it's probably going back into the business, working capital. And then I'm slowly getting into a little bit of a different mindset. I'm more of a sales guy right now, right? You know what sales guys do when they get the commission checks? They blow their money, right? so I got more of that mentality happening naturally, right? So last year I put rims on my minivan. I don't know if you guys see it on the social media, but yeah, now I just got this urge to just spend a little bit more money, enjoy my money a little bit more. So and I'm saying this jokingly, but yeah, I do legitimately have an idea in my mind that I should enjoy my life a little bit more, right? Yep. So
can't take it with you when you're dead, man.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. You hear that all the time. I'm actually reading a book right now, Die with Zero, and there's no way I want to die with zero, but I think I'm utilizing it to just open up my mind. So I guess what I'm trying to say is that, yeah, I kind of want to use a little bit of money personally, right? If you see me driving around in Philly, I'm going to be in a 2011 Honda Civic with close to 200,000 miles on it, right? And if you saw me 10 years ago, you'd see me in that same car, right? Like if I worked a W-2 job, I would have changed cars 3 times. It's that mental mentality that you just got to grow, build. And I'm just kind of stepping away from that a little bit, getting more into that sales mentality, getting more into that enjoying life a little bit more mentality as well. So I'm not saying that I'll blow all the money, but I just utilize the money for more personal needs at this point in my life.
You definitely should, man. Life's too short. You got to enjoy yourself. It's this simple luxuries of life, man. If you can't even do that, what's the point of making all the money in the first place?
Yeah, absolutely. So, right. Yeah. And I actually, the best thing to happen to me during COVID was realizing that, right? I had this opportunity to buy a boat. I bought this 21-foot center console boat, perfect for fishing. I put it out in the Raritan Bay. And when you buy a boat and you go fishing, you got to get people to go fishing with you, right? So they created just such a great opportunity for me to call up people that I'm friends with and say, yo, I need somebody to go fishing with me on Friday, right? And then I would take these guys out. Granted, it was COVID. Nobody really left their house. Nobody went to bars. Nobody went to restaurants. And you would just see their faces and be like, yo, this is like the best time I've had all year. Well, it's the first time you left your house all year. Of course, it's the best time you had all year, right? And I mean, it opened up my eyes, but you quickly forget it, right? You get back into the grind. And something else happens. You open up your eyes again, right? I put my kid into kindergarten, right? He's 5 years old. Time flew by so fast, right? It opened up my eyes again. Well, I got to spend more time with these kids, right? I only have a finite amount of time. And I'm sitting here on my phone, like sending an email, picking up an agent call, right? Like what is this all for? Like, and parents do this a lot. Oh, it's all for my kids. Well, no, your kids need you now. They don't need, you raise good kids. They don't even need your money, right? They're going to make money on their self. Your money's not worth anything to your kids, right? Your kids need you now. So trying to keep myself in those type of mindsets a lot more. I read a lot of books about that type of stuff. Read books on like stoicism, stoics, and try to keep myself in that constant mindset, surround myself with good people like that, and just stay on the phone with those people, stay texting with those people, just to keep myself in that better mindset. So.
Well, hey, buddy, I'll come out and drink some beers on the boat with you, man. We'll do some fishing.
Yeah,
that'd be a good time, man. Let's make it like it's Temple 2004 again,
All right, man. Yeah, whenever you guys are ready. I've invited Mike like 5 times, but he had to move to the mountains. So we're kind of on the opposite end now. He's inviting me out to the mountains now. So.
Oh, buddy, I'm local to you, man. Let's grab some beers and go out and do some fishing, man.
All right, absolutely. I'll put you on my list.
That's too funny, man. Before we finish up here, Irfan, you have any projects, anything that you're working on that you want to let the listeners and viewers know about?
I mean, I'm doing the same old stuff, right? So buying these or have bought these units, trying to finish them off, refinance them. Only focus right now is wholesaling. I got my wholesale company and just working on that, right? And I mean, Mike's been a tremendous help to me. I use him for guidance in that company. He's been 100% in his wholesaling, where I've been like 50% investing, 50% wholesaling. So I mean, you guys welcome to reach out to me. We'll go through Mike if you're on Mike's buyers. If you identify something that you like on mine, I work with a lot of different people. I'm just looking to provide value out there, right? So put out value and worry about the money later.
That's the one thing I know to be true is me and Mike are going to keep calling the motivated sellers. That's the good news.
Yeah, I didn't drop that's the good news in this whole podcast. So, but that's good news.
The good news is we are following up.
Yeah.
That is for sure.
Oh, yeah. We are following up every day, all day. You're going to keep getting text messages and calls from me. That is what I know to be true.
Yeah, I'm doing similar. I'm going back to the grind. It wasn't since like 2018 where I was on the phone and really grinding hard on follow-ups and whatnot. I mean, I'll sell deals to investors. I like that aspect, disposition a little bit better, but I'm on the acquisition side again, right? And it's a humbling experience, especially in this time. I think I know that's what's got to be done. So I'm not afraid to roll up my sleeves when I have to roll up my sleeves. So.
It's fun though, man. You don't enjoy educating people about who Jerome Powell is and why you can't pay more for their house, you know?
I've been calling more investors lately, right? That seeing that they were looking to sell. And look, I'm not looking for the home run hits when I'm calling these investors. I'm just saying, can we meet all market value here, right? What is your idea of market value? This is my idea of market value. Is there something I could do for you to make that happen? Right? That's my only goal, right? So it's a little bit of a different situation, but yeah, I mean, they're already educated to know about Powell. They know what's going on. And that's the problem. They know they have their under 4% interest rates. And they're like, dude, I can't sell. I got 4% interest rate. Well, yeah, you're right. You want to just get on my buyers list. That's the conversation that I'm having. So
yeah. How was your response been with people that aren't on the investor side of things, with being like somewhat open and realistic in terms of market pricing now? Are you having any issues, any pushback? Like what's your thoughts been on that?
I'm not really calling direct on those, so I can't tell you exactly the conversations that are having. But we track leads from cold calls, and this is very low level leads. This is like, oh, they're willing to talk to us and they have a house for sale. Right. Yeah. And I think Mike, you originally helped us out identifying how to call what a lead and not a lead. And we're seeing our leads drop a little bit. Our sales guys always complaining about feed quality too. So I mean, we have that. So that's what I could talk on, but I can't talk about like the direct conversation with like a retail seller. But I'm sure it's got to be tougher based on what we're seeing today.
Yeah. It's definitely a little interesting to say the least. And, I'll say this to any sales guys that are out there in an acquisition standpoint. Like, it's your opportunity. If you got someone on the phone, man, you got to flip that into something, right? If they don't want to sell this property at the right price, what else do you have? Or, hey, where else are you buying? Like, how can we, we're on the phone with each other. Let's figure out how to make some money together.
Well, Irfan, we're coming up here to an hour. So I just wanted to say I appreciate you. You've been an asset to me. I think you have high integrity. Anytime I call, you pick up the phone. And I'm sure that there's a lot of value that we didn't cover here today, but I do appreciate your time, and I wish you the most success here in the coming years.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Mike, man. You're always a great resource to myself, my team as well, man. I think you've helped us out tremendously in our operation. And I'm not even sure you know it, right? So always great talking to you. And for you, yeah, I'm always trying to pick up my phone call and call you right back.